Hello everybody, this is going to be our second video where we're answering your questions, and this is a question I've decided to answer today. It's how can I make a stallion stand side on side with another stallion without problems such as them biting each other? And this has come to us from at Sheep Dressage, so thank you Sheep Dressage. Sheep Dressage, that is interesting. Do you do like lateral movements? That's a question for you, Sheep Dressage. But anyway, back to the main point. So I'm going to be covering how we work stallions together in a safe and effective way. So first of all, just before I really get into it, I just wanted to say that especially here in the UK, there is definitely this attitude, like a mainstream attitude towards stallions, and it's this idea that they are violent, aggressive, and dangerous, which I'm not going to say that's totally unjustified, because certainly in some situations stallions do have a tendency for dominance. That's natural, and so that can play out in quite an aggressive way. But I have to say, like, in most of the cases that is really untrue, as long as the stallion has had a good education or has been handled well. And some of the gentlest, most easy horses and most trainable that I've worked with are stallions. So I definitely think there is this sort of like societally imposed feeling about stallions here in the UK, which is sort of like a cultural attitude towards them. And I don't really know why it is like that. In Spain, you'll see stables of like 20 to 30 horses, and they're all stallions, and they're like stalled next to one another, and they can sniff one another, and people don't have any problems with them being like that. I know there was a study done in Switzerland where they actually pastured stallions together, and they successfully pastured up to 8 stallions together with other horses. The worst part of introducing stallions in the pasture together is the first interaction, is the integration of stallions together, because they have to establish a hierarchy. That's how they are in nature. So that's something that I just wanted to say, is that I do feel there is this huge generalization about stallions. Anyway, how do we work them together? That's what you've asked us. So that's what we're going to answer. So I think one of the key things to this is your approach, like your feeling and how you're going to work a stallion. So if you're working one stallion and you want to bring another stallion in to work together, whether it's you riding one and another rider on another stallion, or whether you're wanting to work towards 2 stallions working together at liberty, either way, the approach from the human is so key. So if you have any sense of fear, if you have any sense of if any lacking of confidence, and any tension, the stallions will feel that, and it will feed into them. Like, horses are incredibly sensitive animals, and they will reflect, they're a reflection of their handler most of the time. So if you want to bring 2 stallions together and you have this expectation, like, they're going to fight, they're going to bite, they're going to kill each other, like, your tension, that will feed through them, and that will make them worse. So first of all, like, the absolute key when you're working stallions together is you have to be really confident. You have to portray a sense of calm, but also a sense of like firmness and leadership. That's what they need from you. Secondly, I would say, like, introduce them slowly. So this depends on the circumstances of the stallions themselves, whether they live together or whether they're like alien to one another. Previously, I actually kept up to 5 stallions together at one time, and they were all stabled directly next to one another. They could sniff each other, they could like interact in a way. So they already had some sort of familiarity. They already had some I can't say it again. So they were already quite familiar. And so then taking them into working together, they should already have had a sense to smell one another and to feel a little bit. But if you're taking 2 stallions that have like never seen each other before, you're going to have to ease into your introduction, maybe ride them in the arena together. Maybe one person work at one end and another person work at the other, and then you start to cross over and that kind of thing. Do that a few times. Like, don't put too much pressure on it immediately. And when you start working them together, really work them. So don't just trot them around and let them like look at each other and start to like, if they start to have like a look at each other, like try not to let that happen. Try to, when they're working, they're in work and they are engaged with what you're asking them. So whether you're asking for lateral movements, even just putting them into a shoulder in, they need to know right from the offset that even if there's another stallion in the picture, that when you're there working with them, they are listening to you. Definitely like have them engaged, and put them in an exercise and really ride them in the exercise like you would if you were in that arena on your own. So it makes them think. What you want to be able to do is bring them closer and closer together, and their attention is always on you. So yeah, lateral exercises are really good, or if you're working them on the ground, like lateral movements in hand, or liberty exercises. And you really you need to have a good level of all of these things before putting the stallions together. Like at liberty, I wouldn't put two stallions together until I know confidently, okay, this boy will walk with me, trot with me, canter with me, stop with me, turn with me, and he can canter to a halt with me, and I know that he will. So I know my aids are really clear and really well received by him. And then when I know he's there and I know he's with me, that's when I would think about introducing the other stallion, but that other stallion would need to be at the same level so that you've got control of the situation, and that will, if you have control, whether it's under saddle or on the ground, that's going to make you feel more confident. So that's going to help what I said before about you needing to feel confident. Okay, and then what did I write down? Routine and normalizing. So once you start working them together and you start to bring them closer and closer and closer, you need to make a routine of it and really normalize it as much as possible. So get them spending as much time together as possible in as many settings as possible, and give them time. But just those are the main things, really. It's definitely achievable. There's no question that it's not achievable. And definitely if it's something that you think, okay, I need to work two stallions together for whatever reason, if you're not feeling comfortable with it, then you're probably in a place where you're not ready to go forward with it anyway. And maybe it would be good to get a trainer in, or maybe it would be good to get an experienced friend in just to give you a helping hand, to give you the confidence in just establishing those boundaries with them. So yes, I hope that's answered your question. Sorry, it's kind of a broad overview. If there's specific horse cases that you would like me to delve more into and you want to give me more information about, I'm more than happy to do that. But just in this case, I'll just overall working with stallions, putting stallions working in close proximity. It's most important things, I'm just reviewing my notes, is having a good feeling, feeling confident, feeling assertive, is setting your expectations and setting your boundaries with the horse. Third is engaging them in their work and having them focused on you. And lastly, it's making it routine and normalizing it. So there you go, as sort of a broad overview. I hope you're all okay. I hope you're all staying safe, and I look forward to doing the next video. We've had lots of questions coming in. Please keep sending them. Any questions you have on training horses, trick riding, liberty. You can ask me other random questions if you want, but I don't know if I'll know everything. Have a good day.